The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
So, Eddie, I don't know if you ever watch the show, but Jimmy, who lived with me up here in New York, we should shoot out a studio, but one of our guests came on one time, and her name was Karen McDaniel, and somehow Jimmy and Karen fall in love, and now Jimmy is married to the widowed wife of the great Wahoo McDaniel.
Well, he'll be broke pretty soon. Just ask him. Hey, just go look up Wahoo's bank account. How it went quick.
Well, can you share some stories about your relationship with Wahoo, please?
Well, me and Wahoo, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was having a good run in Atlanta, and Wahoo came to me. I was cutting promos, and I had a good match. And believe it or not, that night I worked with Eddie Gilbert. Hot Stuff was a babyface in Georgia, and so we tore the house down. And he was a hell of a babyface and a good heel too. Eddie was just a good guy. And so anyway, Wahoo came to me. I'd been cutting some promos, and he goes, "Hey Eddie," he said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Look," he said, "you remind me of three guys. Ray Stevens, Ric Flair, and Dusty Rhodes." I said, "Uh-oh, what do you want, Wahoo?" He said, "No, I'm serious." He said, "You bump like Ray Stevens, you got the charisma of Ric Flair, and you can talk like Dusty Rhodes." And I said, "Okay, Wahoo, what do you want?" He says, "What I want to do is I just got the book in San Antonio, Southwest Championship Wrestling. I need a good heel like you to come in and draw some money." And so we cut a deal, and I went down to San Antonio, and I popped that. I had a good deal with Wahoo. I did color commentating. I had a job guy, and I got my my interviews each and every week, and then I got to pick the guy I wanted to work with. And everybody fainted when I picked Scott Casey. Well, Scott Casey looked like the Marlboro Man. And so I knew that I could get some heat calling him a goat roper, and a gay caballero and stuff like that, and really, get on his ass. And we did. I tore that cowboy hat up, and the rest is history.
Now, Eddie, we're WWE guys, right? So I think
I was WWE guys before your happy ass ever thought about being.
Well,
we were in the WWF in Los Angeles.
So that's what I was going to get to. When did you start with the WWF in Los Angeles, and what was that like? Can you share that experience?
Well, yeah, pretty close to the early 80s. And I had a hell of a run. Me and Piper were partners in L.A., and then he left and went to Portland. And then I took his spot. And it was like the Eddie Mansfield hour out there. And they treated me really well. And I enjoyed it. And I was huge in New York. I mean, because the TV went in, it was it's Telemundo now. It came in big on that channel 34. And I had a lot of, and I worked with all the New York guys. What was really strange was my first babyface I worked in Englewood was Pedro Morales. You remember him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, don't put that picture up with me. Put that damn blonde haired picture. That's Eddie Mansfield, the Continental Lover.
We got stuff coming. You got stuff coming.
So anyway, it's anyway, I went from there, and get back to the Southwest Championship Wrestling. I really love, working in San Antonio. I'll never forget. I went in there, and the first time I worked at the Hemisphere Arena, Tully Blanchard was on top, and Wahoo had been telling me, he said, that guy can't draw two knobs of goat shit. And I said, well, I didn't know him too well, but he kissed my ass when I came in there. And Tully was always like that. He'd kiss whoever's ass came in there, the newest guy, trying to get a rub, and he just couldn't draw. Tully's a good worker, but he just couldn't draw in San Antonio. He just couldn't. And even, you know, I had the idea. I used to go to a booking meeting with Wahoo. Me and him lived up the street from each other, and I'd always go in, and he always tried to get me the Southwest Heavyweight Championship. I said, "Are you nuts?" I said, Tully Blanchard wants that really bad. And he'd call about 10:30 every Tuesday. And, hey, Wahoo, when I'm getting the belt. And I'd look at Wahoo and say, you ain't giving me that belt. I don't want it. I can draw without that damn belt. And I proved it. So when I went in the Hemisphere Arena, he was on top. And they drew 800 people in a 23 or 4,000 seat arena. Man, you could hear it. It was sad. I've never been in a big arena that empty. But I tell you what, when I left, we drew 24,000 people and turned away 15,000. The hair versus hair against Scott Casey. And you probably heard Shawn Michaels talk about that. He was at that match. And I was one of the loudest pops I've heard. And I enjoyed Southwest. We drew everywhere. I drew with Pusky. I drew with Wahoo. I drew with Tiger Conway. You know, I always ribbed Terry Funk. You know, Terry helped me get in the business with Dickie Slater and Leon Ogle. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. One of the greatest sellouts I ever had in my damn career was selling out Amarillo, Texas, with a black guy on top in Amarillo. That's Cowtown, you know. So Tiger Conway and myself sold it out. And I used to rib the shit out of Terry Funk. I said, hey, we sold out Amarillo and there wasn't a funk on the damn car.